Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we got a big one for you. So I thought it would be cool to go through all of the kingdoms at this time that we can see kind of a full range of data sets for, or just data in general for statistics based on the leaderboards, and give you just a compiled list of the current top stats in the game. So before, I used to like to milk some of this stuff and I say that respectively, where I would, just release the top servers, I would do the top alliances. Now, there's not enough kingdoms yet to really do that, where I think I could, really give you a full show, where here's top 25, I can show you some of the comparisons with some of the ways that CoD works. With the resets, not all of the leaderboards would really be relevant, I believe, in that regard, and I'll touch on some of that as we go through. So I'm just going to show you the full top 25 stats for all the kingdoms that we have that we're able to access the data for when it comes to alliance rankings and others, because some of, obviously, alliance rankings do open last with New Dawn, so you have to wait for that Augur Stone chapter to hit. But we are going to go through basically all the kingdoms in the game thus far and address top 25, or show you top 25 stats right in the relevant columns that will go that far, and then for others that will have some limitations on. So without further ado, before we get started, as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell, and if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment description right down below. Okie dokie, artichokes, here we go. Let's jam this out. Okay, bam. Ooh, hang on, that was alliances first. Here we go. So I'm gonna show you each one, right? So we're gonna start with top servers. We'll do top alliances, personal power here at the bottom. You can see the tabs: personal merits, alliance merits, server merits, RSS Gathered. We'll do most Castle 25s, max dragon trails, right? And so so again, I'm gonna show you each. I'll have all these time carded and stamped as well. So here we go, right? This is what we have. Now, I haven't done any differentials or comparisons yet. I'll probably do that maybe the next time around, and I'll have to update some of these, just because, again, there are some differences, right? You have, for example, where you can see, right, SS1, that's the first merged kingdom. And so, you're kind of comparing SS1 versus everyone else, when in actuality, as the game progresses, you're going to have more merged kingdoms. And then once you get enough merged kingdoms, right, you think about, you'll eventually have 25 merged kingdoms, but you have to wait for 100 servers to come out, right? So that's why, if I was to do a bunch of differentials right now, I just don't think it would be entirely accurate, right? I mean, I could do SS1's differential from previous, but I really couldn't do the other kingdoms until we get some more data sets. So that's why I'm kind of treating this more as a baseline, because this is the first top the top stats across the entire game that we've done with a merged kingdom and the non-merged kingdoms included. But you can see here just from this, right? SS1, obviously, already playing through a Season 1. They're now in Season 2, or Season 1 Plus, technically, right at 13.4 billion. And then you have S5 through S10. And that's just because S11 doesn't have their Alliance power rankings available yet for us to see that. So that's why we were only able to go up to S10, right? So previously we did K5, Kingdom 5 through 8. Right, next one we'll do is Kingdom 9 through 12 when we do that individual data set there to look at the top stats across those 4 kingdoms going into their first merge, or I should say kind of an early look before we give it a second look prior to the merge happening. But this will at least show you, right, how some of those numbers stack up. You can see here, basically the range is where we take the number 1 alliance and we minus the number 7 alliance. The reason why we look at the top 7 alliances is because you have 7 Zone 1 regions. So the idea is, right, you have a strong alliance in each region, right? And the farther, it's better to kind of give a more accurate indicator or indication of server power when you go that deep as well, right? Because the idea is you're like I said, you're looking to try and have maybe one alliance come out of each Zone 1 region. So that's some of the logic, or at least the rationale for this data set. But you can see here, right, S5, S6. I like how you see S9 actually above S8 and S7, right? Only a little above S8, but still above when it comes to total server power. And then S10 right here at the bottom, but still close to S7, right, at 1.4 billion and then 1.5 billion respectively. And SS1 obviously has more time, so the likelihood of anyone really catching up at this point. And remember, these kingdoms are still very young, right, as well, because with S10 being the latest one to hit New Dawn, they're still only around halfway, right, through their Augerstone chapter, so it hasn't been that long for them. Then let's take a look at alliances. So alliances, here we go. And this is pretty interesting, right? You may have thought that it would just be all SS1 01 or SS1 Kingdom Merge Kingdom 1s here, alliances, but you actually have some others that are making solid cases for being up on the boards, right? So of course, if we go top down, right, you got Avengers at 3 bill, right, which also shout out because they broke 3 bill, first alliance to break 3 billion. So far, you got 4 BDNs Forbidden at 2.1 bill, and then number 3, 4 BD1, Maharlika? I always butcher that. Almost at 2 bill, right, 1.97. And then you have the first non-Merge Kingdom alliance, which is BDL's Blood Legion at 786 million from S5. You got S6 here, right, 718 mil from God Holy Grails. And then we have a showing from S7, Myth, Glorious Mythic, at 450 mil. And then the first S9, which is PG Penguin Garuda, at almost 400 mil that they have here. So again, most of the alliances are from the Merge Kingdom, but I do like, and I wanted to really show that off here, because I think it's cool that you're able to see some other alliances that are making a good run to break into the top 25 alliances currently in the game, right? And again, this is us looking at server Merge Kingdom 1 or Merge Kingdom 1, right? SS1 0001. Sucks I have to say it that long. And then S5 through S10. Okay, let's look now at personal power. So personal power. And I want to preface this because I know I didn't say this before, but the data set was taken within a few hours as of yesterday, so that would have been on the 16th in the afternoon to the evening is when I collected everything. Just again because I know there's always going to be some players that are like, oh well, those aren't the stats right now. Well, yeah, Avi, those aren't the stats right now, broski. Okay. That's because they were taken within a set window of time, and there's no way to provide some type of real-time leaderboard across all the kingdoms, at least yet, right? I mean, they have something like that in Rock, but who knows if that'll end up being a thing here in COD. But you got number 1, our boy, TA Ghosty, at 69 mil, 629, or 69 mil, 69.6 mil, we'll say, just to round up. You got our boy recently interviewed, King of Midas from 4BDN, 68.8 mil. And then you got Junie at 65.6 mil, right? Kind of rounds out your top 3. I want to point this out, man. This to me is bananas. You got AEs, exclamation point, XX Immortal XX at 55.6 mil from server 9. This caught me off guard. Do they have some bangers, broskis, some bangers and girlskis out in server 9? And then you got our boy Ripper. We got Saitaliumbasi. I'm butchered that completely, but that's number 6. And then you got PGs from S9, right? You got PGs, XOXOXO, Hugs and Kisses, bam, from Kingdom 9 at 45.4 mil, right? So you got someone that's broken to the top 4 from server 9. You have to, and just to give you some perspective here, where's my everything COD, right? So just to give you perspective. Right, Kingdom 9 released December 19th. It's been less than a month, right? Whereas Kingdoms, 1 through 4, you got August 8th through September 20th, right? So again, just to give a little perspective there, and what can only appear, this guy's been spending, or this player, because we don't know if it's a guy or girl, but this player's been spending quite a bit, right? So again, obviously, huge shout out and congrats for breaking into the top 4. And then you got, the other player from S9 behind, and then you got one other from S6, right? This is God's Burning at 31, coming in at number 16. And then obviously the rest of them being SS1. Right, from the Merge Kingdom. So, and I'll probably do one of these maybe without the Merge Kingdom included, as we get some more kingdoms that have been released. However, I mean, this to me is just bananas, right? So again, right, shout out to those players. And then, of course, right, we're getting close to someone breaking 70 mil if it hasn't already been done. So those will be milestones we'll look at, 70, 80, 90, when someone breaks 100 mil personal power, right, just depending on how high it can go. So that's cool to show. Personal merits. We got pretty much everyone from SS1 here on personal merits. I want to point this out. There was someone who came close, which was, I think, S5's Does, or DUHZ is the player's name. He was close. He was around 2.4 mil for merits, so he almost made this. He almost made, I think, 2 lists, too, as well. Just to point that out, I can't remember if it was personal power at the bubble position for 25, and he might have been 26. It was something like that. Excuse me. However, again, crazy personal numbers. I mean, it just shows you how much fighting has been going on in the first Merged Kingdom, which I think is also a testament to what the plan and the idea was, right, when it came to merging. So, I think that's something to consider when you're looking at COD as a whole, right, and the devs trying to look at it from an approach of, right, how can we increase fighting in PvP, with a Merged Kingdom style, the way they're doing it. The fact is a lot of people are fighting. So then let's take a look here at, before I do that, right, King of Midas, obviously number one here, 8.32 mil. You got TA's Ghost at number 2, 5.9 mil. We got TA's Yasan here at 5 mil. We got POS's Ripper, 4.7. POS Aiden Bear, 4.7, right, kind of rounding out your top 5. Bubble positions here is 2.46 mil, right and above for breaking into top 25, at least in this kingdom. All right, let's look at some alliance merits. So alliance merits, this is interesting because you actually have some diversity here, right? It's not just a full SS1 or SS1 Kingdom 1, running away. I mean, obviously, yeah, you got Forbidden, right? 4BDN at top, 163 mil. TA Avengers at 143 mil. You got POS Pearls of Solidarity at 120 mil, right? So you got 3 alliances above 100 mil merits, which is just a crazy amount of fighting. And obviously, the top 6 is rounded out here. But then you got Twax or T-Wax from King of Animals at 14.7 mil in S10. That to me is bananas because S10 is pretty young, right? Again, if we go back and we look at where was my thing here? If we go back and look at S10, they released December 23rd. That's less than a month, right? You're talking 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks, give or take, that they've been up. And so that's a crazy amount of fighting. And then you have S5's Blood Legion, BDL, and Zod's Order, Zodiacs, right? And from what I'm hearing, they might be going at it when it eventually opens. And I think I might be able to see the map either today or tomorrow, depending on when this video releases. So that'll be interesting if we can show off some of that. And but again, right, this is cool to see some alliances breaking into the top 10, right? You got 7, 8, 9 here. And then you look at S10, right, another one here at 8.196, KON, Kings of the North. You got the first one from S6, which is God's Holy Grail. First one from S7, which is Mythic or Myth, Glorious Mythic at 6.4 mil. So again, right, then the first one from S9, PG, Penguin Garuda, 6.2 mil. And then we had one from S8 here, right, which is FL8, Flyleaf Cafe at 5.4 mil. So again, right, good fighting that's going on within the kingdoms. And obviously, if you take away this, right, then you're looking at kind of S10, being there at up high, and then obviously with S5. So hopefully it'll be something we can show off. Now let's take a look at server merits. Now server merits essentially is just alliance merits combined, right? We take the top 7 alliances, kind of how we do top server power, and we do server merits, which kind of is an indicator on how much fighting, how much PvP is happening within a kingdom. Clearly, SS1 is just bananas, right? 630 million merit points based on where SS1 is currently, which is, again, just bananas. Then you got S10, and this is crazy, S10 has the most out of the new kingdoms that we could look at so far, with 31.734, right, just above S5. I mean, they're pretty much neck and neck, but the number 7th alliance has more PvP engagement than their number 7 alliance does. So I actually think this is a little more healthier, in my opinion, when you're just kind of comparing the two. However, again, great numbers. Then you got S6, good showing. S7, these are kind of the ranks for how it looks. And we were able to get this down to S13 because we could see that from Alliance merits. But once you get past that, S14 just hadn't shown their Alliance merits yet, so we couldn't do any additions or sums. Then we get to RSS Gathered. Now, RSS Gathered is pretty standard, right? It's kind of similar to how we did the player power. The only difference here is I have to give a huge shout out to BDL's Ash from Server 5, breaking in at number 16 here at 805 million resources gathered. So huge shout out to you for breaking this. That is, just craziness, but awesome to see. And then obviously you see someone right close to a bill, right? Dada was close to a bill gathered from TA. You got TA's Walanjo close to a bill 990, 4BD1 Mystic 933 mil, TA's Miss You 931 mil, and then GRZW Soul of Dark at 913 mil. Again, crazy gathering numbers. And most of you know I like showing off these stats because I like to believe more so that this is the most kind of free-to-play-ish category versus others, just based on just based on the margin of error here, where it's not where you have to use a ginormous amount of resources, right? I would assume you could attemptably make this list just by grinding and being super active. So again, I love seeing this here. And then the last few we have to look at is most Castle 25s, right? You have SS1 with 126 Castle 25s right now. You got S5 with 5, S6 with 4, S8 1, S9 2. And obviously S9 would be above S8. I mean, if you guys want to, I can already see people being sticklers on me. So let's do, there you go, just to make you guys happy. Right, so okay, those are some of the numbers. I mean, just wild to see, but again, right, SS1 is the first merge kingdom, or SS1 Kingdom 1 is the first merge kingdom. We got most max Dragon Trails. Now, the reason why SS1 isn't here is because honestly, no one has max Dragon Trail out yet. Some people are close, but no one's maxed it out yet. And so, with that in mind, I think I just forgot to do this too as well, right? Bam, here, let's do it. Right, so there you go. You got S5 with the most, S6, S8, 7, 9, and then 10, right, showing you that. And that pretty much rounds out our top stats. I'm actually shocked I was able to keep this to about 16 minutes. So with that in mind, right, let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear in the comments below, were you shocked? Were you impressed by anything that we showed off? Are there any specific stats or maybe different ways of approaching data gathering that I can show off for you? Again, I have some things in the works and some ideas for how I'm going to approach going forward, right? One of those being I'll be looking at every group of 4 kingdoms and doing an early data set, top 25 or top stat set, and then we'll do another one right before they go into their first merge kingdom, which kind of will give you like a preview, right, of how that kingdom might end up and which alliances might go where. And then once we get more merge kingdoms, right, we'll do data sets for those. So yeah, and then like for things like top personal power, strongest alliance power, those are things I'll keep doing, like the top stats kind of game wide, because I think some of the boards, like the player power, the alliance power, I think some of those are relevant. That are, even though the kingdoms obviously get reset season to season, I still think that those hold value. Just not as much as if resets didn't happen, of course. Right, because with things like personal power, right, you'll lose a little bit of personal power when a season resets, but not as much as you would like alliance power-wise, right, because that's a full reset. So you kind of have to work. Well, you're not losing all the power. You're just waiting to rejoin and basically reach your new member capacity because you have to rebuild the alliance. But you're still retaining some of that core power, right, for adding it in, even though it's only 40 players in the beginning, and then you have to build it out. So anyways, with that in mind, that is it for me. Right, so again, I hope you guys enjoyed. This was fun. It was nice to kind of keep it a little bit shorter this time instead of breaking it up into a bunch of videos because, again, there's a lot of content I have on the way. So yeah, that is it for me. Right, give shout-outs to who you got. Call out your rivalries for people you want to pass up in personal power here. And yeah, that's it. Until next time, as always, I will catch you later.